The Force. It is Star Wars Newsnet live here on Thursday night, 10 o'clock Eastern Time. My name is Tyler, joined by Tom, Luke, Miguel. It is a quad box Thursday night, ladies and gentlemen, which means that it is a big Star Wars night. We have so much to talk about tonight. We have Lucasfilm Successors, officially, unofficially leaked / announced. We have Tom Cruise has filmed a lightsaber duel in Star Wars Starfighter, which is confirming the use of lightsabers in the movie in this random New York Times article on this Thursday. Miguel gave us 26 questions that need to be asked and hopefully answered this year for 2026 in Star Wars on his Sunday article. We're going to be talking about that. And then, of course, like most weeks, I have a fun game for us to play here before we really get everything going. But it has been a fun week in Star Wars, and I think we have a lot more fun weeks to come. Again, my name is Tyler. Welcome to Star Wars Newsnet Live, joined by Tom, Luke, Miguel. Tom, how are you this evening? We have all been sick. I think you were the first one to get sick. So how does it feel to be fully recovered?
Fully recovered. Hopeful for the new year. Happy New Year, everyone. And just happy to be here back with the guys and talking some Star Wars.
Luke, I know that Christmas is a special day for you because it's your birthday, and so I always text Luke every year instead of the Merry Christmas, like Happy Birthday, Luke, and I hope everyone around the world and enjoys celebrating you today. So, Luke, how was it to have yet another Christmas birthday in the books?
My 29th. So it was a good one. It's always very strange to have a Christmas birthday because even I myself just think of it as Christmas. I often forget it's my own birthday. So make all the jokes you want. But it's been good. I also didn't share my full story, but it's also just the same story everyone else is told. I've been sick. I've got an annoying little puny cough that I'm trying to get rid of, and that's it. All the mucus is gone. So hopefully none of that is going to come through your speakers tonight. We're going to be crushing it with Star Wars.
Like you're saying, like my story is the same as the story that you've heard, and I'm like, Jesus? Like my story is the same as Jesus. I thought that's what you're gonna say for a minute.
I resurrected 3 days after I died. I did not. That is not true.
It's a fun fact about me. He brings that into like a fun icebreaker day at the office. Let me introduce myself. Miguel, you did not get sick over the holidays. How did that feel? Do you usually not get sick, or you have to avoid these winter illnesses normally?
I'm actually lucky enough that I typically avoid them. I don't know exactly how. Like, it's not entirely weird that I do get, the occasional flu, but not this year. I was very lucky that every time I met a new friend, they were like, "Yeah, I was sick like 2 days ago," or 2 days later, they were like, "I'm sick as." But not me. I was lucky enough to avoid it. So yeah.
So
I was missing your energy though. Like I didn't realize how much I missed Tyler energy until right now.
I it's crazy how much energy I have. I literally was like struggling to stay awake on my drive home from work, but I get revved up. I get revved up for Star Wars. Get revved up. I'm so excited.
You're falling asleep watching Percy Jackson as well, so that's the thing.
No, maybe that's what actually woke me up, was getting my Percy Jackson fix in before the show. No, but it's been 2 weeks since we talked any Star Wars, because right before the holidays, like I filmed an episode with Tom to talk about Mando episode 1, filmed an episode with Luke to do timeline show. I filmed an episode with Jay to talk about Star Wars video games, and then like I just scheduled all of those like one a week out, on the podcast stuff, and so it's been a long time since I've actually got to sit and talk Star Wars with. So I like the Tom Cruise thing, came out today, and like the Starfighter interview with Sean Levy, and all I wanted to do all day was talk about Star Wars, and I couldn't do like any of that except for one student of mine who likes Star Wars and is aware of like all the things. Like this is a student that told me that the thing they were like looking forward to most over, it was either like the holidays or like next year, was like the 40-year anniversary of like Back to the Future, like 2 in theaters or something. Like he couldn't wait, and I'm like, you're 11. Like this is Like this is great. You're speaking like language. I was like, that's so cool. But I do real quick, I'm gonna ask you guys a question. Just give me a quick answer. We'll get into all of it later. But Luke, what are you looking forward to discussing most this evening? Is it the Starfighter news or the Lucasfilm Successor news?
I'm leaning toward the Starfighter news. This is extremely intriguing on multiple levels.
Okay, Miguel.
You know me, it's the Succession.
I know. Tom, break the tie.
Starfighter all day long.
I knew.
I feel like the Succession story is very important, but I feel like we've kind of been prepared or looking towards it. It seemed like it was going to happen eventually, but Starfighter is the gift that keeps on giving. So I'm anxious to talk about that.
Okay, excellent. Here we go. Fun game before we get started. So, just a couple hours ago, I posted a video on TikTok, and I wanted people to send in their favorite prequel Jedi in 5 words or less to see if I could figure out who they're talking to or who they're talking about, like, and try to figure it out. So I thought it'd be fun is if I read a few of them and we try to collectively figure out who it is, because some of them are pretty tough. All right. So the first one here is balance, female, raw power, and emotional. I feel like that's tough. I had 2 thoughts that came to my mind when I read that. The first is like Ahsoka, because I feel like that's most people's favorite. But then I'm like, I feel like they could have gone something else. Then I thought of like Depa Balaba a little bit because it's like Mace Windu apprentice and super powerful, definitely emotional. You saw how she was a little bit. She has some stuff from the books. Which direction should we go? Or unless you have someone else in mind.
I was thinking Ahsoka.
Yeah, I'm leaning Ahsoka as well.
Okay.
Count me in for Ahsoka. That's where I was going first.
All right. I'll say Ahsoka question mark. Maybe Balaba just to see if
it's a fun game because we don't have the answers, right?
Right. So we don't have the answers. So we'll find out the answers. Like this can be whatever we want. And maybe I'll check later to see if they respond. All right. Next one is patient.
Maybe it was Yaddle and
It's Yaddle and be crazy. Like when I think of Yaddle, I think of emotional. Unless they're talking like emotional death, but they should have said that. Okay. Next one, prequel Jedi, 5 words or less. This one I have no idea. Like I have a guess, but I feel like Luke is gonna be able to help a little bit with this one. Was patient, rare, strong, humble, hungry. Patient, rare, strong, humble, and hungry.
I feel like that's Obi-Wan.
But like the rare thing threw me off because I'm like, are they talking like a species that doesn't have many like Jedi? But then I'm like, hungry. Yoda. Is hungry? Could that be from like a nod to Empire?
It's supposed to be prequel. I mean, technically he was a prequel Jedi, but the hungry, that's the first thing I thought about.
Oh, that's good. Luke, what do you think?
But I don't know about Yoda and humility during the prequels, though. I think like he was like running like really high on himself.
Right.
Oh man, I don't really know. Hungry is really, really weird to me. I don't know. These don't feel super descriptive. I feel like they could fit all of the Jedi.
Hungry?
Hungry.
Well, I'll put Yoda and we'll go on. Okay. Here's one. I think I got this one. I'm pretty sure I got this one. Helps a young Jedi mask, mask. Plo Koon.
Yeah.
Master Plo. Okay. Master Plo. This says Space Jesus. I'll put Luke Sheehan.
That was Dave.
I'll put Luke Sheehan. Let's go. I got two more, and then we'll stop. Paternal, strong, tall, kind, wise.
Qui-Gon.
Qui-Gon,
Qui-Gon?
yeah.
And then this one, I think I know this one. Old, beard, snake, wise, funny.
Aporencesis.
Oh, interesting.
Ooh.
I
Why
thought
s-
of Dooku at first.
That's okay. I thought of
Snake?
Dooku because like he's a
Yeah, me too.
he's a snake from like he turned against the Jedi.
Yeah, I was thinking of that,
Yeah.
but you have a good point there, Luke.
He's a Thespian.
That's so good. That's
I didn't know he
that's
acted.
good.
Despise.
That's Luke. That was a good pull. That was I would have said Dooku. I would have said Dooku. All right, last one. Someone just sent a comment. Wise, quiet, observant, resilient, powerful.
Mace.
That could work for Mace.
Who's the quietest prequel Jedi?
Yariel Poof.
Yariel. Someone's sitting at home with Yariel Poof as their favorite prequel Jedi. Like I need to meet that person.
Wasn't he
It was
featured
like-
as the robot chicken?
There was
I keep
someone.
going back to those. They're so funny.
There's someone who once told me that General Grievous was their favorite Star Wars character, like of all time. And I'm not saying he can't be, but like I asked them, like, oh, like, did you go into all the legend stuff or some of the animation things with Grievous? And he goes, no, I have no idea about any of his backstory. I just really like him in Revenge of the Sith. And I'm like, that's your favorite Star Wars. That threw me through a loop. I have never heard of someone picking Grievous, but having no idea on any of the lore with Grievous. They just were like, that's a cool dude. It's cool blue.
My daughter, when they had the 20th anniversary, I guess rescreen of it last year, my daughter saw it for the first time, and she absolutely loved General Grievous.
Would that be like the equivalent? Like the prequel equivalent of an OG trilogy, like Boba Fett is my favorite character.
Maybe, yeah. She's funny though. She likes she loved that like the cough and everything. That was kind of like a quirky thing about him. She's very interesting with the characters that she gravitates towards. So I think for me, I mean, I think he's a very cool character. He's like Boba Fett, like that has that kind of appeal. But yeah, I think she liked the whole the way he moved and everything. She kind of, I think,
he slinks around.
Yeah,
he's very dramatic. Even what he says is dramatic. Fool.
That was good. That was good. Say that again. Do that again.
Fool.
I'm gonna get that. You guys send that to me, little audio. I'm gonna make that to the little thing every time someone sends me something I don't like. I'm just gonna send them that little audio clip of Luke going, "Fool." That's good. That's good. All right, let's go ahead and jump into it tonight. We got two main topics to discuss, and Miguel, I'm sorry, but majority ruled here, even though it's on the thumbnail. I gotta go with the majority, and that is Star Wars Starfighter.
Having best for last.
Film, a lightsaber
Tom Cruise
duel.
always wins.
Tom Cruise, you knew that if for whatever reason there was just two of you and not all three, I had to go with Tom Cruise. They should have been blasting the Mission Impossible theme the entire time he was there. Tom always wins, and this was such a cool little story because not only the headline is cool because it's Tom Cruise filmed a scene in Star Wars, but it just confirms that there's lightsabers in Starfighter. And when I heard the name Starfighter and I heard about this movie, a lot of us were thinking there's no way that Ryan Gosling doesn't come into a Star Wars movie without there being some sort of lightsaber component. We assume he's the one probably wielding the lightsaber, perhaps. But again, a movie with the title of Starfighter, doesn't necessarily guarantee there's some sort of, lightsaber Jedi-ish, Force-ish component going on. This pretty much confirms that that's going to be prevalent. in the story. I would be shocked if there's lightsabers in this Sean Levy movie, but not, Force users wielding them. So how excited are you guys that we got this confirmation of lightsabers being in there? And then, just in general, give me your 2 cents on, Tom Cruise actually being the one, he said, getting his expensive shoes muddy while he was wielding the camera and doing this. Tom, we'll throw it to you first, my guy.
Yeah, it's hilarious because I didn't see, when I woke up, I didn't see the Discord message about the story in our, chat. And then I just went to the site instinctively in the morning and I saw the headline. I was like, what? And I was like, this is awesome. It sounds so, it was such a, like, and I think Miguel, you commented on this too. It was such a really great title for an article because it really, it drew me in, and
Exactly.
I am so excited. I'm so excited for this movie, and what it seems like. It just has, to me, it has so much momentum. It's really captured my interest, and this whole idea of Tom Cruise, it was just like. It was like I felt like I was gonna have to do Stefan again from SNL. Like, this movie has everything, and it's just so cool. Like, and because there's lightsabers in it, you really feel like it's gonna confirm, I guess, some of the things that we speculated on. That at this point in time, Rey is out there, probably starting to train Jedi. So maybe she will show up or they'll allude to her in some way in this movie. There'll be some kind of connection. But yeah, I thought it was awesome. And again, I feel like I can't believe there's another Star Wars movie coming out this year. But all I'm thinking about is Starfighter. It's I think Mandalorian's going to be a great movie. We're going to enjoy it. But this movie just it has so much,
feels so much more massive.
Yeah, there's so much energy around it that like we're trying to, we want to find out more about it. Like, I wish this movie was coming out in May, because I want to hear more about it, and it's exciting.
I hope that we get one of those behind the scenes little sizzle reels or something, and they have some sort of video, like 2 or 3 seconds of just Tom with the camera, just like run in the other side, and you see some of the choreography that's going on. Like, if they do one of those at some point in the next year, I think that'd be just really fun, just to have, just Tom Cruise holding the camera. I just want to see some of that footage. I'm sure someone was recording him somewhere.
Yes.
There's no way that didn't happen. But Luke, we have lightsabers confirmed in Starfighter. Are we assuming Ryan Gosling is wielding a lightsaber? And if so, like, how excited are you to see Mr. Gosling wielding the saber in what I would assume to be a very, very cool fashion, because it's a cool dude.
Is that the most obvious choice for the lightsaber wielder? Because I wasn't picturing any lightsabers being in this movie, and I was hyped for that. I love the Jedi so much, love that aspect of Star Wars, but I don't need that in there. I've come to grow into that, and I've been really excited for something that doesn't have to have lightsabers in it. I was picturing this fast-paced race car-esque type of movie, and to hear that there's not only just like, oh, there's a lightsaber scene, it's a lightsaber duel. So I'm just like trying to picture all these, like, so are the characters aligned within order, like Sith or Jedi? Are they rogue? There's all these things that come with an implication of a lightsaber duel, lightsaber wielder in general. I was, for whatever reason, when I heard this, I'm thinking that it's two characters that aren't Ryan Gosling. I thought it would be two different characters. I think he's going to be our main Starfighter pilot, and he can totally be a Starfighter pilot and wield a lightsaber and duel. We've seen that before, but like, I just wasn't gravitating towards that. I don't think it's going to be a major part of the movie. I think it could be like a flashback. I think it could be a small scene. I don't imagine that's going to take up a lot of time. So that's what I've been wrestling with. There's a lot that goes into that.
Well, in general, though, in all of Star Wars, like the lightsaber duels are very small portions of the movies outside of, Revenge of the Sith has a lot of lightsaber, action. But in most of the others, it's kind of like the end of the movie, it's a climactic moment towards the end, for the most part. So it can be a small part of the movie, but in terms of time, but just be the absolute pinnacle. Miguel, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, going back to what Tom was saying about the article, I had a sort of similar experience because I was like out all morning, with work and so on. So I caught up with the Discord chat. I think an hour after we posted the article or something like that, and I was so basically like we had the article shared and Josh was working on it, and he said, yeah, done and posted. Took a bit longer than expected. And I'm like, okay, I mean, I wasn't expecting a New York Times article promoting Stranger Things to be this insightful into a Star Wars movie more than 1 year out. So I checked out the site and I was like, what the hell, like like am I reading this
Right.
correctly? I had to like triple check the headline, and of course, indeed it was correct. And I don't know, yeah, full props to Josh for coming up with that headline, which I thought was great. There was indeed another pool that could have been, which was the father and son relationship that's probably supposed to be in the movie. But I'm just gonna take credit here because most of the sites that shared the article later were also pulling from the Tom Cruise shot a duel. So I'm just gonna take credit for that on behalf of the site, of course. And so yeah, that's one thing. And what were you? So yeah, the lightsaber. So basically, I had assumed that we were gonna see lightsabers anyways. Maybe it's because we knew that it was a force sensitive kid, and that just like the term force sensitive basically implies a lightsaber user. And I know that we are that in Star Wars you don't know anything that is confirmed until it's actually said out loud. But I mean, I had always assumed that it was gonna be a lightsaber gonna be in the movie. My assumption has always been that Mia Goth is basically the equivalent to Moses Ingram's character in Obi-Wan, but here, like an unhinged sort of, I don't want to say rogue type villain, but the assassin sent by the main antagonists, like who's like on an emotional journey hunting down the main character, who I assume is the kid, and then Ryan Gosling is like tasked by Amy Adams with protecting him. And so I assumed that Ryan was gonna be either a Jedi or a lightsaber wielder. And I also assumed that maybe Amy Adams is gonna have lightsaber ignited at some point. I don't know about the duel, but maybe we'll see her ignite a lightsaber. I don't know, because if her kid is force sensitive, one can assume that maybe she is as well. Or maybe she's not, and she just like finds out that the kid is force sensitive and has to protect him. So yeah.
So when we talked about this before, and I think it was Tom and I, we were saying how I felt like, and I think Tom agreed with me, that I was surprised if Ryan Gosling would be in a Star Wars movie as the lead and not want to or know he was going to be wielding a lightsaber at some point or using the Force, doing something like that. Like this Ryan Gosling. Yeah. And then when Matt Smith was announced to be the villain, I feel like the two of them, like there might be some sort of, how like Obi-Wan fights General Grievous in Revenge of the Sith, and that's like, like you mentioned, kind of like the lead assassin guy, right? And then he goes, and then Obi-Wan and Anakin fight at the end, and it's like the final boss at the end of the movie. But I'm thinking like Mia Goth is probably going to wield something, and then Matt Smith is going to have to come in and do this like himself, so to speak. But I wonder, when I hear about this and like the lightsaber duel that's taking place, is there going to be these like more like broader like tie-ins to what's going on in like the sequel timeline? I've sometimes assumed this was going to be a much more contained story within just these new characters that Sean Levy is telling. But I have starting maybe to lean more Tom's way on this, where we might get mentions of Rey, like Ryan Gosling might mention a Master Skywalker that, you know, he was training with at some point very recently after, you know, the Battle of Exegol. You know, is Matt Smith's character with Mia Goth, are these people that were very much in the know of what Palpatine was doing on Exegol, and this is some of the fallout from that. Like there are still, you know, some sort of like cultists or acolytes that have been trained somewhat in the Force, or, you know, on the fringes of that are trying to cling on to that and disrupt whatever new order, new system has been established. I think this might actually lean more into the overall, you know, what's going on in the galaxy at this time and set the stage for like the next round of stories a little bit more than maybe I previously thought. I thought it might stray away from some of that with just little tiny nods to it, but I'm starting to wonder if the overall story is really going to lean into that and set the stage for what's to come, and maybe like a Kenberg trilogy or down the road, or a Rey movie down the road. I'm not saying direct like tie-ins, like you have to watch this to know what's going on in that, but at least kind of bringing us maybe full circle when we see the other films coming out at some point.
The only reason I say that, not that I'm not fan casting, or I'm not saying that I want to see that in this movie, that there has to be a correlation, but the same thing with Mandalorian season 2, when Mando was taking Grogu and he had to see a Jedi. I mean, who made the most sense in that? Even though it seemed like a great surprise because I didn't know if they'd do it, but Luke made perfect sense because that was his time, that was his era. Now we're in the era of Rey, you know, trying to rebuild this order. So there has to be, not that we have to see Daisy Ridley, or I think there has to be some connection. You have to address that Rey is the person that would probably be, if the kid is Force sensitive and they want to get him to someone that can protect him. If, say, Ryan Gosling is not, or he's just kind of like taking him, kind of like Mandalorian, then I think you have to, in that place, like, you know, mention, or, you know, Rey is in the picture at that period in time. Right. So I think that they're going to have to collide, even though I know that may not make everyone happy. But if I'm perceiving this the way that I think it is, but we know so little about it. We haven't seen any footage. We don't really have, you know, we have snippets, I guess, of kind of what the story is kind of, I guess, like, but it's really not that much to go on. But I just feel that
we're still a year and a half away from seeing this movie, which is just crazy how I feel like we know so much more about maybe what's going on in this movie, and we've had so much little nuggets here throughout all of this, while The Mandalorian and Grogu comes out in 134 days from now, and we have really no clue on what to expect other than just your Mando Grogu adventure that somehow Jabba the Hutt's son is a part of. And then during the entire time that movie filmed, there was no little behind the scenes of filming, no little images here, nothing at all. And I just wonder why this is so different. Is this a Sean Levy thing, or is this Lucasfilm saying that we need to be more out there with what we're doing, and this is the bigger movie, so we need to go this way? Like, I'm wondering where the shift came from.
I mean, I think it's so for me, and I think for most people, Starfighter feels like the real movie, and Mandalorian feels like an episode of TV brought to the theaters. And I think that's also how Lucasfilm sees it, in the sense that they needed a movie out this May, and they came up with, let's just put an episode of Mandalorian on the big screen. And so I think that's essentially what is happening behind and in front of this, like behind the scenes, and also like actually happening. So I don't know, it's just more exciting, the Starfighter stuff in general. I mean, I you could just tell me the entire plot of Mandalorian right now, and I probably wouldn't blink, because it's mostly gonna be like straight out of an episode that we've
Mhm.
already seen. So
It's gonna hit. We're gonna have like the familiar beats. It's gonna play the hits there. We kind of know what to expect.
yeah, like a couple of the big scenes where you can just do the wide shots with some crazy fights that you can just say, "Oh, that was cool," but
Mhm.
you know that's
We already have,
because of
if you think about it, we already have a trailer for Mandalorian. We don't really have anything for Starfighter, but we feel more excited for it and more, I guess, just the way that it's being presented. I feel like it's really
Yeah.
stealing the thunder away. So I guess my question for you guys is, if Mandalorian fails, if it's not really good and it's not really, how does that affect, do you think that has any impact on the excitement for Starfighter?
No.
Yeah, I agree. I don't
I
think
don't think it's gonna matter because Mandalorian is the what they have to fight with Mandalorian to make it a success, like money wise, is to make it feel like a unique event and not just for the average fan to think that it's an episode from season 3 that they're just putting in theaters 3 years later.
right.
They just have to sell it as a new thing. And yes, you mentioned that there's a trailer. I typically forget because the trailer is just random shots of Mandalorian and Grogu, and it's just, unless you know the show quite well, it's just impossible to know whether this is from the new season or whether it's from an old season. So it's just a novelty factor here, and I think that by the time Starfighter comes out next year, they're just gonna be talking about Ryan Gosling wielding a lightsaber and not
Mhm.
about the Mandalorian movie that was out in May. And I still think it's gonna make some money. But
I had this thought recently, and I want to ask you guys about it. And I've thought about like the plot of Mando, like what a trailer like needed, and I really feel like they missed the mark in not just giving us straight conflict in the trailer. Like let us know what the problem is that needs Mando and Grogu to resolve. Like I don't know what the
yeah,
conflict, what is going to draw me in. Like I don't know if it's Mando learns about like Din Djarin, he learns about this whole Shadow Council, and maybe the Shadow Council still wants Grogu dead. Like they want to take his blood and keep those blood transfusions going to do these experiments. So Mando's like, the kid's never gonna be safe until they're all done. Like they're all, and it's like you kind of feel that conflict, and he has to hunt them down. Or you let me know who like the villain is of this movie, and I can kind of see why it's Din Djarin and Grogu who need to go after him. Instead, like Miguel said, it does just feel like, hey, this could even feel like a clip just for the next week's episode at the same
yeah,
time. Like, it's just that little trailer you drop before a finale, like kind of Stranger Things, would drop these little trailers before their next volume of episodes that would come out. Like that same thing could be applied to this movie, which I'm very excited for. I really want to go see a Star Wars movie in theaters, even if it does, feel a little bit less than. But Luke, what would need to change over the next few months? Because I know you're very similar to what's been said here in terms of excitement level for one thing over the other. What needs to change for the Mando marketing over the next 134 days for that excitement level to not necessarily get to Starfighter heights, because I don't think that's going to happen,
Not
but to at
realistic.
least get from a 6 to an 8.
I think you need to tip the hand a little bit because Miguel had a fantastic point. You're fighting against people who assume this is going to be another episode. And with this type of setup, I would think a lot of people are checking out early that I kind of missed the Book of Boba Fett. I didn't watch that. And that's actually kind of part of it, right? Or like, I kind of fell off halfway through season 3 and I didn't finish that. Do I need to watch that before I go to the movie? And I would imagine there's a lot of people who like, oh man, I've heard such good things about Mando. I haven't watched it. I probably need to watch it before I go into the movie, right? I don't know if I'm going to do that. I think there's a lot of, you just run into that when you're taking something that has been multiple seasons, you're making a movie. And I don't think you can expect a lot of people to just be like, yep, we've all watched it. Let's go. I think you need to tip your hand a little bit and be like, okay, here's the conflict. Okay. Everybody needs to know you can just come in and watch it. You don't have to do. And I feel like this is kind of like what they did with Ahsoka, where it's like, yes, you're going to get a lot out of it if you've watched Clone Wars and Rebels. You're going to love it. But like, we're telling you, just come in and watch it, please. Please come and watch it because you'll be fine. We'll make sure you're fine. I think maybe a little more reassurance from the marketing team could help, because I think they would be fighting against a lot of people who haven't done their homework. And people might feel like they have to do homework.
A lot of people comment, because I do like my daily countdown to the Mando and Grogu movie, like the next Star Wars movie videos, and I get a lot of comments every week of, do I need to watch like all of the Star Wars shows to watch this? Not just Mando, like, do I need to watch all of them to go see this movie? Like, people have no freaking clue of what the homework is or what to expect before they go see this. And I think Lucasfilm and Disney are just hoping that it doesn't matter, that they could just put those two characters on a poster and put it in front of every, movie and commercial until Memorial Day, and hope that, people are just going to go see it because they're cute, they're fun, and, it looks like a fun adventure. But I keep going back and forth. I feel like I've been riding the roller coaster. I think one week I'm on here, I'm saying I have ultra confidence in this, and then the next week I'm going, I'm terrified for the box office results of Mando Grogu. Right now I'm terrified. I'm into my terrified mode for box office results. But Tom, to answer the question you asked earlier, which was, does the if Mando and Grogu doesn't do well at the box office or isn't received well by the fans, does this in any way tarnish or taint excitement or expectations for Starfighter? I agree with Miguel 100%. It's not going to impact it at all. The only thing it might impact is, in my opinion, are they going to move forward with another Star Wars movie in production this year? Like, maybe they wait and they want to play it safe and want to get some more buzz going for Starfighter first. I don't know, but I think that Starfighter is going to feel so much different, and this feels so differently from everything else that has come out over the last, at that point, like 7-8 years since the Rise of Skywalker. And these are the little nuggets that they're dropping now. Just imagine over the next year the little things that are going to come out about this movie, like teaser trailers, behind the scenes look, interviews with the cast at different times. I think that the excitement level is only going to continue to rise. And then you couple that with the 50th anniversary of Star Wars, and I am sure that next year, probably this year too, up until that point, the amount of buzz they're going to try to generate for the 50th, year anniversary of Star Wars is going to be incredible. And then the last thing I'll say is, you have that, theatrical run for A New Hope that comes out in February. And I will be shocked if they don't have some sort of special look at Starfighter that you can see at that premiere, like some sort of like, here's 3 minutes of Starfighter, or here's a behind the scenes of Starfighter. Right. They're going to have something there too. I think it's just going to continue to keep climbing.
Yeah, no, I agree with you guys. I feel that they're really, I feel like everyone, I mean, it's hard to say, because I think that Mandalorian Grogu, I think it's going to be fun. I think we're going to enjoy it. We're going to get all the, the lore and the jokes and everything. And then I think they're going to make it something accessible to casual fans, or they're going to try to, at least. And I think that the kids that, think Grogu is cute are going to come, so I feel like, yeah, obviously, and present company excluded. I feel that that's going to be there. I just don't know, because I feel like there is that group of people that are going to feel like, oh, I have to do homework to see this. It'll be on Disney Plus in a couple of weeks anyway, probably, or something. I'll wait till then. So, but I agree also that I feel that the momentum for Starfighter is already starting to build, and we're seeing these articles come out, and Sean Levy loves talking about it. So we're going to hear a lot of
talking about it.
And like you said, the anniversary and celebration are going to, in the New Hope re-release. So I think that if Mandalorian Grogu doesn't underperforms, I think it'll be a blip for them. But like you said, I don't know how that will affect future plans. But it's going to be interesting to see what happens if the leadership changes, which is
a great segue into that. But Miguel, go ahead.
Exactly.
Yeah, your last. Oh, was that where you're the segue? Okay.
No, I mean, because you were mentioning it a bit earlier, and I think it was the perfect segue, because there was like this reporting on the succession, and there was this article from like this reporter Jeff Snyder who that came out last night that was like backing up, or not backing up, but like following up on the previous report on the succession. And he was basically like there wasn't any new information in there, but he was speculating, or informally, not informally, informed, like with an informed opinion, let's say, saying that the new team with which we'll discuss now, which is supposed to be Dave Filoni and Lin Brennan, will have to get a movie up and running this year, because they have to show the Disney team that they can actually do this. They have to Disney upper executives care about movies in theaters. They clearly don't care about Disney Plus anymore. They care about making $1.5 billion at the box office. And Kathleen Kennedy had 40 years of relationships with these people and many people around town that she could actually go on for 6 or 7 years without a movie. But these guys do not have that luxury, so they will have to make sure that a movie is in front of the cameras before the end of the year to actually like prove that they can do this job.
So let's talk about it. So I don't know anything. I'll be honest. I know nothing about Lin Brennan's past, what the expectations are there. I'm going to, we long assumed, I know Miguel and I have talked for a while, we were thinking Carrie Beck was going to step into that role, but Lin Brennan, I'm sure, incredibly qualified, going to take on the business side of things. The main Star Wars discussion that is online and everything is centered around, Filoni now being in charge of the creative development, creative process, what's going to happen. And I think this is a fascinating discussion to have, because 2 years ago, Dave Filoni, I felt like before Mandalorian season 3, a few years ago, Dave Filoni was the man. And now it's just really interesting that suddenly he has become a target for the online, fandom, and in a disparaging way, when I feel like the overall body of work doesn't necessarily deserve that. When you think about kind of a Mandalorian season 3 and then the Acolyte, I think that's what is tarnishing a lot of people's view. And couple that with how many people hold Andor to be like the standard of Star Wars at this point. I don't know. I just don't think it's a very fair thing to put all of this in Filoni's, basket, when there are so many great wins that he has had. He clearly understands, the story of Star Wars, what Star Wars is, what Star Wars means, and what Star Wars can be. And to act like he hasn't been a part of conversations with Andor at all, I think is a disservice to what he's actually brought to the table. There's some wins, there's some losses. There's going to continue to be those. I don't think Filoni being in charge means we're never going to see anything other than Clone Wars-y type projects ever again. I think that's really a narrow-minded way of viewing what is actually going to be happening. But I'm curious just to kind of hear what you guys think about the Dave Filoni being in charge of creative development, which we've known this was going to probably be the case for a while, but having this pretty much confirmed, I think we can have a more open discussion about it, since that transition is going to be taking place very soon.
I mean, just like a quick thought, and I'll let you guys go on. But to play devil's advocate here, and I would like to agree with you, but at the same time, what has Dave Filoni done that is not Clone Wars related or Rebels related? Like, he has been the guy basically bridging all of his past work together with the new stuff that he makes. He was the guy who made Rebels and connected that through to Clone Wars through Ahsoka. He made Mandalorian and eventually connected that to Rebels through Ahsoka as well, and then through Bo-Katan and so on. He made Ahsoka and connected that because it was a spiritual sequel to Rebels. And he was an EP on Skeleton Crew, but that was basically a title job. he maybe gets the blame for Mandalorian season 3, which is ironic because that was the season he was least involved in. He was basically plotting Ahsoka at the time. I think that most of this chatter might disappear once Ahsoka season 2 comes out, because then it will, like, this is just cyclical, you know, like now it's just a downtime for him, and once you know, Anakin is side by side with Obi-Wan fighting something on the Clone Wars flashback, then it will be like he's the patron saint of all things Star Wars. And so this is just cyclical, but I do get the point that he has talked about sporadically in interviews about, you know, Rey or about Andor, but it's nothing that suggests I want to make more movies like Rise of Skywalker, or I want to make something like Dawn of the Jedi, or I want to make, you know, this Simon Kinberg trilogy. That sounds interesting to me. It's
But don't
mostly
you think because he's been in like a very important position as like chief creative officer for a while now, and he was in that position when a lot of those projects were announced, like I just assume he's in the room, he's talking through that, like he's probably he's not the one signing, you know, the dotted line on this is going to be the project, but it would be weird if he's promoted while also to this position while also somehow being in opposition to any of those projects being made.
I'm saying he opposes them. I'm saying that yes, he was giving notes on Rise of Skywalker. He was giving notes on the early development of the Rey movie. He was giving notes on Starfighter as well. But at the same time, the stuff that, like, yeah, that was his job. We don't know to which end it was Kathleen Kennedy going to him and saying, "We're making this movie, give notes," or it was, you know, Kathy, I think that this is the direction we should go on, or we should pursue. We know Andor wasn't his idea. We know it was like Kathy's baby that she plotted with Tony Gilroy, and you know, yeah, maybe he was involved at some point with like some of the lore or whatever. And he's talked about like you know, favorably about Andor, but it's not like anything that would lead me to believe that he on day one of his job would say, let's make Andor during the Old Republic. You know, so I do get those points, and I would just give him the benefit of the doubt for a couple of years, and let's see what they come up with.
Yeah.
And go from there.
It's very difficult to hold Andor as the standard of Star Wars. Like a lot of people I think are doing that right now, and like that's the standard right now. I just disagree really completely with all of that. I almost view Andor, it's Star Wars, of course, and I think it's phenomenal. It's probably my favorite show on Disney Plus, one of my favorite shows I've ever watched. But it also is just so different from everything else Star Wars. Like to imagine that we would ever really get something like Andor again anytime soon. Like I don't think that is a fair expectation. I don't think wanting my Star Wars to be like Andor, I don't really want more Star Wars like Andor for a while. Like I kind of really enjoyed the tone that it set, but I don't necessarily think all my Star Wars has to hit that tone. And I think some people get that confused when they say like, I want this Andor level this, Andor level that. Well, what do you mean by that? I think some of them just want that same kind of, you know, vibe and tone that Andor set in all their Star Wars, and don't necessarily kind of bridge that conversation from there to like, I'm talking more about like the quality, the production quality, the writing, all of those other things that kind of made it as great as it was. But like you said, I'm willing to give him, like I said, benefit of the doubt for a few years. Like you mentioned, I'm excited, honestly, for the future. I feel like Star Wars is in a really unique place going forward where I can see it going a number of different directions. Hopefully it's a positive one.
If I could put my 2 cents in, I agree. I think that it's great that they're using a similar model to how DC set it up, that there's someone running the business side of things, and then Filoni's running the creative side. And like you said, he's been in a role like that for a few years. I think for me, and getting back to talking about Andor being the standard, I feel like I don't need that same tone in other projects, but I do want that quality. And I feel, kind of alluding to what Miguel was saying, that is Filoni going to bring in creatives like Tony Gilroy or some of the big names that can actually do that? And I felt like now that we're getting back more to feature films rather than Disney Plus, because it does seem that they're moving away from that, and it's been expensive. I think Andor was a miracle in many ways, and I think one of it was that they pretty much had like a blank check, especially in season 1, which we all benefited from. But will Filoni, one of his greatest strengths, I feel, is, and that I guess gives him a lot of that clout, is that he's kind of like he's the heir to the empire. He was like George Lucas's apprentice, that that he worked directly with him, and they talked about the really really deep things about the Star Wars universe that I feel like it came kind of like George Lucas's intent. But that is maybe his greatest strength, but it also might be his greatest weakness, as some fans feel that maybe he's too committed to I guess a vision that maybe Star Wars needs to branch out in new directions, and that maybe he's holding it back in some ways. So it's going to be interesting to say. I mean, I'm excited, but I think time will tell to see how this is going to go. And also, I like the comment that Miguel brought up that, yeah, they're probably going to want to push them to get something into production fairly quickly. I believe from the story we heard that Kathleen Kennedy is still going to be on to work as a producer for some of the projects, I think, that were kind of in flight already. So it's going to take some time, I guess, for the transition to see really what Filoni is going to bring as head of Lucasfilm. So, but yeah, I'm excited, but cautiously optimistic. I want to see what direction we go. Yeah, it's an interesting time. We'll see what happens.
Luke?
Definitely. I think you guys have completely nailed this and knocked it out of the park. I think Filoni being in this position is good for Star Wars. He knows it deeply, but I would like to see bigger swings into new territory, because he is that, Tom, you nailed it. Like, he's that apprentice, came up under George Lucas, which is amazing, and it definitely shows. He gets it. And sometimes, not all the time, it's just a couple times I'll be like, man, he's still holding on. He's still got that arm back on the original trilogy, the prequel trilogy. He's still trying to pull something out and polish it off into a new episode or something. So he's good. I like Filoni a lot, and so I feel confident with future Star Wars, with him in his elevated position.
The more time that goes on, I really feel more comfortable with Ahsoka season 2. I think that they tried to do too much in season 1, but I think a lot of that was based off of this giant story that he had to tell, and he kind of, I think, knew this is going to be like a 2-season story that might culminate in his movie, which I want to bring up in a minute. But I think season 2, we're going to kind of see some of the payoff from some of the sandwich storylines in season 1 that I wasn't a fan of, that are going to pay off really big time in season 2. Like, the more time that passes, I get excited. But like Filoni, I know that, Andor is the thing. And we talk about how much we love Andor, but I freaking loved Mandalorian season 2. And Filoni was a big part of the Mandalorian season 2. Like, I don't want to take away. I feel like if you give Filoni too much credit there, you're taking away from Jon Favreau, who, like, the Mandalorian is his baby. But, Dave Filoni is a big part of Mandalorian season 2. And that, for a lot of people, is still their favorite, season of something Star Wars. Like, that was, we saw Luke Skywalker. That was an incredible season of television. It's just a completely different vibe from Andor. And I think that, Filoni, I think, is smart enough, and I don't think they would put him in this position if they didn't know also that he was smart enough to know that Star Wars needs to be able to hit these different tones to survive and to thrive moving forward. I think the interesting question, though, is going to be what movie is going to be put in production first from these two. And I think there's 2 answers right now. I'm curious what you guys think. The easiest answer is his Dave Filoni's movie. He's finished Ahsoka season 2. Mandalorian and Grogu comes out this year. and he's got some time to do this, and now he's in a position to kind of say, hey, this is the next movie we're gonna do, it's mine. It makes some sense that that would be the first direction they go. But I can also see with, Starfighter building up, everything going on there, that Simon Kinberg, Kath Kennedy has said she was going to stay on as producer for the Kinberg films. And I'm wondering if they're going to fast track this one, just like Sean Levy's movie kind of got fast tracked. I wonder if we're going to hear a lot more about that. They said that they were going to have a script for that in June, which means they kind of know, the general idea of what this movie, what direction this trilogy is going to go. Part of me wonders if that's the first move right there, is this Kennedy kind of got Simon Kinberg on board. They got the script ready to go, and they're going to move forward with that by the end of this year. And that's going to kind of launch us into the post, Starfighter timeline. I think those are the two that scream out to me, just because I just feel like the whole Rey situation is still so murky. I don't really want to even speculate too much on that. Taika's movies out there, Mangold's movies out there, but I just have a feeling this Kinberg thing is going to take hold sooner rather than later.
Yeah. So I agree. But I do agree on Filone's movie. I think that's a natural way for natural thing for him to continue working on. I don't know if he will take a year off from actually developing stuff and focus on more of the president side of the things, or if he will just build on the momentum and try to get this movie out by 2028. So I agree on that. It's a likely scenario that they will push for that. But on the Kimberg side, the thing here is that we don't really know, because we know that last year, and we might actually get answers for this month, by the way. Kathleen Kennedy is supposed to do this interview where she is exiting, and she will probably get asked about many upcoming projects, and she will say, yeah, this one's in this state, and so on. But we know that last year it was supposed to be the year in which Kinberg would start developing the trilogy. He was supposed to give a treatment to Lucasfilm at some point during the year. It was supposed to be June, maybe it was later than that. But we don't really know if that happened. We don't really know if instead of a treatment, it was just an outline of a 2-page outline, and they're still trying to figure out the names of the characters, or if they have a first draft of a script ready and they could actually, rush this. Starfighter was fast-tracked because Ryan Gosling signed up. Once you get a movie star, you start to build the entire cast around that, and then you just have a green light. I don't know that this is the case here. This, could be very advanced, or it could be still in the early stages. And then there's the question of the Rey movie, because we don't really know. Yeah, there's one thing on the development side, and then there's the other thing on the actual storyline, because we may be in a case where the Starfighter movie is supposed to directly tie into the Rey movie, which would then set up the Simon Kinberg trilogy. Or maybe they're just gonna squash the Rey movie because it doesn't really fit anywhere, and they have a writer that's been on the project for more than a year, and they still don't know what they're doing. I mean, Daisy Ridley is insisting that it's happening, but I don't really know for sure.
If they were to announce the Rey movie as being the movie that goes into production this year, to me, I'd be ringing up Tom, instantly texting Tom going, I think you're right. This Starfighter almost feels like a natural lead into that. There's going to be ties together if that's maybe the next movie that they're going with.
Yeah,
maybe not, but
I didn't have the time earlier to pop in, but I do have the feeling that Rey is going to show up in the last couple of scenes of the movie, that Ryan Gosling is just going to hand the kid to her, and she's going to build the academy from around him, or from that point on, and so on. I know they've said it's not connected, but it doesn't necessarily have to be super well connected. It can just be one final tie-in. And so if that happens, then maybe you just go on directly to the Rey movie. But that's development dependent, because if the movie is not ready, then what do you do? So there's a lot of things here that the Kathleen Kennedy needed to figure out before leaving. And now they're just gonna, like, these two are gonna have to take over from there.
Let's do a quick poll here. A little quick poll. What movie are you hoping, if you're gonna get one in production this year, it's gonna get started? Which project are you hoping is the one that we get that, maybe late fall, early winter announcement that they started, production on? Is it Filoni's movie? Is it the Rey movie? Is it a Kinberg first of the trilogy movie? Is it, you can go even Taika Waititi standalone film. You can go James Mangold's Dawn of the Jedi film. Those are the 5. I will not accept the Lando movie as an answer. Sorry, Luke.
Well, that sucks, because I was leaning toward that one or the first one of Rian Johnson's trilogy. I just was really sold on that one too. So sucks you've ruled those out. But I'm gonna have to go with the Filoni movie, the culmination event. I think it just makes a lot of sense to me with what's going on. He's got Ahsoka on the brain. Mando and Grogu are going to be coming out here soon, so things will be set up and fresh in people's minds that we can bring this to a culmination, and he can start working on that. He can have his pieces in place out on the board to maybe tie this thing off and put it together, give us a good big finale.
Let me rephrase that. Maybe I wasn't very good in my communication. Is that I was looking for what you want, like what you would be most excited for. Is that still the same answer? Like, you still want that one, or the logical point would be Filoni's movie? I should have said that, like, this is the one where you want to see. This is like Survivor Final Tribal Council. You want to see your name on the parchment here. So, Luke, you want to see this movie on the parchment for our big breaking news later this year.
I feel like now I'm cheating because I'm saying 2, so I don't want to take away from someone else. I would love that, but my heart of hearts, I would want the Dawn of the Jedi. I think that movie sounds like a cool concept. There's tons of different things you could do there. So I'm a Dawn of the Jedi guy.
Okay. Tom, I think I know. I'm just curious.
I think I do want the Rey movie, because I do want to. I want Daisy Ridley to get a chance to kind of, I don't want to say redeem the character, but really realize that character to its fullest potential. So I want to see that continuing story. I would say probably if it wasn't that, it would be the Kinberg films, because I feel like I want a set of stories to look forward to, like a series. So I think I would say the first one of those.
Maybe both will come true, and
yeah, we'll see.
The Rey movie / Kinberg movie will be morphed into one, big story that kicks off the trilogy.
It's possible. It's possible that they may do that. I could see that happening. So yeah, that's what I'm going to go with for now.
Miguel, you had to pick one.
I'm actually going to cheat, and I'm going to say I don't care any of them, because I have like many. I'm at this point where I don't think I've been in a while where I just don't. I have many reasons to be excited about all of them. Like, yeah, Luke was mentioning, Dawn of the Jedi. That'd be super cool to see. I know that nobody cares about the Taika movie, but I still want to see it. Like, and the fact that they have the writer from Poor Things enlisted, like, also has this curiosity factor for me. That what does a
weird movie
Tony McNamara plus Taika Waititi movie look like? Sound like that? That sounds like something that I want to see. The Simon Kinberg, for what Tom was saying, setting up a new story and launching us into like the future also sounds super cool. The Rey movie, I mean, yeah, I think I'm getting less excited about that movie every day that passes. I don't. George Nolfi is not a name that excites me as a writer. Sharmin Novachino is not a name that excites me as a director. I am excited to see Daisy, but if Daisy is going to be in the Kimberg movies as well, I don't know. But at the same time, like she's probably going to be a supporting character and a much maybe older version of Rey in that movie. So to get a younger version of Rey on the screen again would be cool. And then the Dave Filoni movie. I mean, I'm mostly excited for that because it means is the Mando story is going to be over. So.
I knew you were going to say that. Okay, so what's funny is that none of these are actually going to go into production this year. Instead, The Hunt for Ben Solo will be reborn in October and November. And, Luke's already got Absolute Cinema up in the air. That's actually what's going to happen is we're going to be sitting here, and it's going to be on the exact same day that story broke this year. We're going to get the news that Adam Driver is back, and he's gonna post this picture of him with the lightsaber, the Skywalker saber somehow, and he's gonna be back for The Hunt for Ben Solo. That's going to be what shocks the world this year, and it's
It's like a 30-second teaser where they unearth the two sabers.
It's literally
that'd be a hell of a teaser, though.
It's gonna be Adam Driver on a motorcycle going through, and then he goes into like a house, and he's holding like a child, and he opens up his old Jedi stuff for when he's a kid, and he like uses the Force, gets the saber, and then it's gonna say Ben Solo will return in The Hunt for Ben Solo, and it's gonna start. They're gonna see like a big countdown up there, and then we're all gonna wonder what's going on.
My answer's officially been changed. Sorry, Miguel.
Solo will return in Avengers Doomsday. Speaking of Avengers Doomsday, is the 4th teaser supposed to come out like next week? Or is that like in another week? Like have they been doing, are they doing like one a week?
Yeah, I think it's like tomorrow in theaters and then on Tuesday on YouTube.
Okay. All right. Are we excited for this? I just want a Doom teaser trailer. That's all I want.
Yeah.
I think it changes for me every day. Some days I'm very cynical, and other days I'm like, I mean,
you start sitting there and you're like you start getting like, let's go.
I have to say, like, I really love Endgame, so to have the team back together, even though like not one of the writers, but the rest of the team back together, and I'm not as excited about the X-Men. I'm not as excited. I'm excited to see Steve back, but I'm not as excited that they're tarnishing that legacy of that ending, which is like one of my favorite things about the MCU.
Yeah.
And then there are other days where I'm like, Thor being Thor again, and not what he was in Love and Thunder, or seeing the rest of the team back. I don't know. I need to see a full teaser. Yeah, I need to see Doom, but I am getting increasingly excited, considering I was very cynical a few weeks ago.
I saw there's so many funny memes about just Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen being back and saying like, how many times are we gonna watch these two characters die? Like something about like I like how many times am I gonna watch the like OG X-Men have some sort of culmination story?
Yeah.
And there was one that said, man, I love the way that they ended those characters in the X-Men trilogy. Oh, I love the way they brought them back in the new ones and then finish that story off. I can't wait to see what the MCU does with the X-Men. And instead, watch his teaser trailer, and he's like, he sees him again. Like, and I love those two actors and I love those two characters, but I will admit that in that teaser, like, you won't ever hear me say a disparaging thing about them, but other than like they did look really old. They do look so old.
Yeah,
which made me think, how is
Magneto
Ian
especially.
McKellen actually gonna hold up as Gandalf in the Hunt for Gollum that's supposed to come out like in
I forgot that was
2027?
happening.
And
Why did you have
he's
to ruin this day?
like he's supposed to be back for the Hunt for Gollum, and I'm like, man, I was like, how is this man gonna be Gandalf again? Like Elijah Wood is, gonna be in Orlando in March. I'm like, how are you supposed to look like a younger version of yourself from Fellowship of the Ring? So many things that are on my mind movie wise. But do you guys have a movie you're looking forward to most this year right now? I'm just
It
curious.
has to be Odyssey, right?
I forgot about that one.
I'm really looking forward to it. I think I put Dune, like Messiah Dune 3 right now. I loved the first two. I'm like really excited to see if he could pull off the third, if they could pull off the third one.
When does that come
Yeah.
out?
Same day
Same
as
day.
Doomsday.
December
Yeah, I
18th.
don't think
18th.
that's real though.
You don't think so?
That's not a thing. No.
You don't think
No,
so?
no, no.
It's still, as long as it's still listed as coming out that day, I'm
It's
gonna
not
believe it.
like no like they know they have an alternative date. They just haven't announced it yet. Like all of these reports about the Tunes Day or whatever, that was just a made-up thing. This was from a podcast where the Matt Belloni, who broke the
Hold the
news
line.
on Lucasfilm, he wasn't even like reporting anything. He was basically like, Warner's has not pushed Dune 3 yet, and everyone ran with oh, they're gonna come out the same. Nobody with a sane mind would release anything on the same day as an
No.
Avengers
Hold.
movie. Like,
Fight. The good fight. We will take them down
but it's
together.
not about that. Like, you don't
It
want to
is.
compete with the marketing. Like, Disney's gonna
Do
throw every dollar they have in their bank
Fight to the
account
last
on
man.
marketing for Avengers. Like, even if Dune is the better movie, which is gonna be, like, you are not gonna bring awareness to the public because it's all gonna be
Burn
about
the
Doomsday.
entire system to the ground to make a point. That is what we're going to do. I'm gonna be
Barbenheimer.
sitting there. I'm gonna be sitting there by myself while I'm listening to the MCU roller coaster in the theater next to me. I'm gonna be sitting there by myself for my Dune 3 movie with my popcorn of Shai Hulud there, and I'm gonna be really uncomfortable every time I reach into the popcorn bucket, and I will not care, and I'll buy 10 just to help the cause.
Dune 3 to the moon for me.
To the moon.
I've become like a massive Dune fan after watching.
You're a
these
freak
movies.
at this point. I'll be honest. You're a freak at this point, and I respect the hell out of you for it. But
I've started the 8th book today.
Reading the 8th book at this point, like, it's crazy.
Yeah,
It's impressive. I love it.
It's been an insane journey. Those books are not written by a sane man, but I am like really drawn into the Dune universe. I've loved it a lot. So, and I far from the only person. Like, I'm a huge Timothy Chalamet fan. So, he plays Paul really well. So
Yeah, he does.
I couldn't be more excited for Dune Part 3.
I have to see some
Tom,
footage.
what is your favorite? What's your most look forward to movie? Like, biggest hype?
Were you asking me?
For this year, yeah, Tom. For
This year. So, well, I have to say the Star Wars one coming out.
No. Like, other than Star Wars. Star Wars.
Well, and aside from Doomsday, because I know everyone's saying that, but like, I want to see Spider-Man. I want to see the new Spider-Man.
I forgot that was coming out this year.
Yeah, there's so many movies coming out this year.
Coming back home.
I'm really curious to see what Spielberg brings to the table this summer too.
With about that one too.
I'm like, really.
I didn't love that trailer though.
I know. I didn't either. But I'm still like really curious. Like, I'm like,
there's like Social Reckoning, which is the sequel to The Social Network, which I don't have a full faith in, but it's still like my number 3 movie of all time. So you have to consider that Aaron Sorkin is coming back for at least in the writing. And then there's supposedly Damien Chazelle is coming out with a new movie this year, but I don't think he started shooting it, or if he has, I don't know if he will make it in time. There's like a David Fincher movie that is a sequel to Quentin Tarantino's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Like, there's all of these weird things that are happening.
Wow.
It's gonna be a fun. I feel like these next year and a half, 2 years are just gonna be massive. Like there's just so many giant projects coming out, like Marvel throwing all their baskets here in Doomsday. You have Supergirl that comes out next year, like DC still, pumping out everything. Got a Star Wars movie this year. It's like all the big IPs and franchises are just exploding, and then all of that to pave the way for the 50th anniversary of Star Wars in 2027, where I just cannot wait. I hope beyond hope that I can make it to a Star Wars celebration over there. But anyway, we'll see. Any last words before we wrap it up on this Thursday night? Maybe we'll have a Maul Shadowlord trailer to talk about soon.
Yes, that's true. I forgot about that show.
That should be coming out anytime.
Anytime.
Maybe in a month.
Maybe a month, yeah. I saw some like leaked photos online from some stuff from it, so I was excited about that. But anyway, we will be talking about that very soon. Luke and I will be recording our next episode of the Timeline show very soon. We're on that Young Jedi Adventures train again for probably a month or two. It's gonna be very exciting to try to fit those in as I navigate basketball season, and Luke just navigates all the fun things of life. Check out Miguel's most recent Sunday Piece article where he talks about the 26 questions that we need to be asking ourselves this year in Star Wars. It'd be fun. Maybe Miguel, we could sit down and have a little discussion about some of those too, because I think you had a lot of great ones in there. And then Tom and I will be recording the next episode of This is the Replay, our Mandalorian rewatch series that we're doing. We did episode 1. Go check that out. That came out on Monday, I believe. We'll be doing episode 2 very soon, which I like a lot more than episode 1. So I'm excited to talk about that. And we will see you all next Thursday for Star Wars Newsnet Live. We will be here ready to rumble. And for Light and Life, remember that this is the Filoni way for at least a little while. We'll see how long it lasts.